Guys, good afternoon and welcome back to my page and my channel. So I actually can talk. I had a dentist appointment today and I had my mouth all numb and I couldn't move, so I had to wait for the medicine to wear off before I can create this video. But I don't know if you guys probably are aware or may not be aware, but I've kind of been in conversation with Mr. Jamal Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson's father, about his views on his son, and just I think stuff that's really irrelevant to our mission and our movement, and Black Lives Matter was really most important. And I created a video. You guys can go back and watch the video that I made, and I think he kind of took offense to some things that I said in the video. And we've basically been seeing kind of things from different perspectives, right? Like, he has one perspective, I have a different perspective, and my perspective is that I believe that, if you have your son that is out to save Black lives, out to benefit and help the Black community, then just support that. Let's support each other. And this is crazy because it wasn't the first time that I had came across one of his videos. Like, came across one of his videos, but I didn't really think nothing of it. Like, I came across Dr. Umar Johnson's father video. It had to have been, I don't know, maybe last year or sometime, right? And I saw one video and that was it. And so what really brought him back under my radar was that I created a video saying that Dr. Umar Johnson is the most controversial psychologist in America. And his father commented on that video, basically questioning the effect that his son is having in the Black community, which I took offense to, because I figured that he was basically trying to minimize the effect that Dr. Umar Johnson is having in the community. It's like he's trying to undermine his work, his contribution, and not only his contribution, but the contribution of many other Black people. And so me and him, I told him that we can continue to have this conversation via phone, which, he was open to, and I gave him my contact information, reached out. We were talking over the phone, but we still seem to have this riffraff, right? It's like it was just this conflict, and I'm wondering, it has to be something under this. I always try to read between the lines. And although on the surface, a person may say something on the surface, basically expressing his disapproval of Dr. Umar Johnson's approach to how he's going about bringing about change, which his approach, I don't see anything wrong with it. He has certain controversial views, which I talked about in my previous video, so you guys go back and watch that. But I think overall, we are all fighting just from different perspectives. And usually, this is the thing, y'all. Usually, when a person comments on my video, I usually, especially when they're expressing what appears to be hatred, or they're trolling or trying to just start conflict, I usually ignore the comment and delete it. But his comment stood out, and I clicked on the name and I saw that he was Dr. Umar Johnson's father, and I was like, wow. But after having a conversation with him, I still felt like something wasn't right. I felt like obviously he was disappointed in his son, but that's besides the point. I feel like that all that stuff is irrelevant. The whole thing about viewpoints and this and the other is irrelevant. It's relevant, but not really important. I think that it was something else, because you can tell, like, you can pick up on a person's energy and realize that something isn't right. It has to be more to it. It has to be a reason why Mr. Jamal Johnson feels so passionate about a certain approach, because basically he was telling me that we need to get out there and start marching. He was saying, like, these YouTube videos ain't enough, and basically he's kind of putting his son in a box to say that, Dr. Umar Johnson is basically creating YouTube videos. Like, that is ineffective. And I'm like, no, because he's using social media as a platform to pull people together, to influence people. He's obvious that he's a major influence in the Black community. And so After me and Mr. Jamal Johnson had a little disagreement, even, on the phone and via text messaging, like, I took a pause and I'm like, it has to be something else. So I went back on Mr. Jamal Johnson's YouTube channel and I looked at one of his videos. Now, this was an earlier video that he made, but it was basically a message to the leaders in our conscious community. This guy, I had never heard of him, Sonetta, Dr. Umar Johnson, I think he addressed Dr. Boyce Watkins and Tariq Nasheed. And it's a letter. And I watched the whole video intently, just trying to read between the lines and hear what he's saying. And I'm like, wow, y'all, this is it. And this is the reason why I created this video. Because I'm like, that's what he's trying to communicate. I think, and it's ironic, sorry guys, but it's ironic that he is attacking his son approach, but meanwhile, his approach, basically, because he is on a mission. His father is on a mission, but a slightly different mission, which I think is amazing. Like, I watched the video and I'm like, wow, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense why Mr. Jamal Johnson is frustrated. It makes perfect sense. Like, I get it. I see what he's trying to do. And it's bigger than just having a march. Like, I realized it. He actually, what was it, yesterday or the day before yesterday, had text messaged me some pictures of him at marches that he's participated in. You guys have to watch this. I know y'all so distracted on social media and want to keep scrolling and you just want to bypass this, but this is really important stuff, you guys. And I'm looking at those photos and I'm like, okay, what is his purpose? Why is he sending me these photos? Like, I admired, his contribution, his efforts to bring about change and being a part of the marches. But I'm like, okay, he just put his son down. He just criticized his son publicly, right? About his, his views that he disagrees with, especially when it comes to interracial marriage. And then he's showing what he's doing as far as being a part of these marches. I'm like, okay, is he jealous? Because it seems like he's trying to compare. And then he made a video today. He made a video today basically saying that he's not into comparison. He just wants us to unite. And even when I was looking at the photos, it was the other night that he sent it, I was looking at the photos of him in the marches, and he asked me, it's like, basically saying that we're not doing enough. We need to be a part of these marches. And y'all have to watch this, share this video. He was like, we got to be a part of these marches and the protests. And I told him, I said, I've never been a part of a march or a protest, to be honest. Now, if you guys have been a part of a march, comment below. But I haven't been a part of a march. Now, I've witnessed a march and a protest in Brooklyn. And I've seen how it went down. This is around Eric Garner's death. And it was thousands of people out there. And they actually shut down Brooklyn Bridge to the point where they had to redirect traffic. Like, it was so many people out there. There was not enough police officers, to do anything, basically. And I'm like, wow. And the energy that I felt when I was out there, and I was kind of more of an observer because it caught me off guard. Like, I had no idea that the march was going on, but there was so many marches happening, nationwide. And I was out with a friend out in the city, and I'm walking down the street and I'm like, see all these people, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I had to pause because I couldn't help it. It was like the energy was so contagious. Like, it was so amazing. It's like, there's no word to describe the energy that I felt. I might as well say I was a part of the march because, we were all kind of going in the same direction across the Brooklyn Bridge, and I was freaking amazed. Like, it just took over me. It was like a spirit that you can feel it, you guys. It's something magical that happens when you have lots and lots of people, loads of people coming together for a cause, and everybody's on the same accord. You can feel the energy. It's magnificent. And so I'm telling Mr. Jamal Johnson that I, haven't been a part of a march, and he invited me out to his march August 4th in Pennsylvania. And he said it's going to, I think, the police headquarters in Pennsylvania. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And of course, I want to be a part of the march. Like, of course, I want to be a part of anything that relates to the movement. But then I had to share with him my honest perspective on it, my honest feeling about it, because I'm like, okay, on the same token, we know that a lot of, like, some of these marches is violence. You know, bad things happens, rioting, people be getting hurt by the police, get arrested, and I'm like, I don't necessarily, to be honest, I really don't want to be a part of that kind of march. You know, like, as a woman, I just don't. I don't even have any kids. I'm like, I want to procreate. You know, I want to get a chance to procreate. So there's many different ways we can look at this, but I'm just like, wow, it's still kind of sinking into my head right now. That's why I'm like, just wow, you guys, because like I said, today I actually watched his video, his that he made, his basically a letter, a call to the black community, and he was speaking directly to the conscious leaders in our community. And I'm like, I'm watching the video, and I'm like, wow, this make perfect sense. Now I see what he's saying. He said it, not that he didn't say it to me, that he just wants us to unite and, you know, we can do the protest. But it's starting to sink in. And the way he put it, he said, this is why I created this video. Like, he said, the power that we could effect, the change that we could effect, if we all were to unite as a black community nationwide in every major city, nationwide, every black person that we can get to be a part of a nationwide march, y'all, this will be like, y'all think the Million Man March was something. Like, this would be bigger than the Million Man March in Washington, D.C., because this is something that would happen in every city nationwide. It's not like we haven't seen something like this before, because when things happen, we see marches that break out nationwide, but I'm talking about for a one common cause on the same day. How about, like, even he was saying, at a specific location that we all agree upon. And I think, since really the matter, the nut and bolt of the matter is police killings, because that's how the Black Lives Matter movement emerged. I mean, we know there's racism and there's discrimination and many different other issues that affect the black community, but the biggest is that they are taking our lives, they're killing us. And for us to unite on that cause nationwide, you guys, the same day, same time. But I think it has to be deeper than just a march. Like, we really have to be smart and strategic about it. Like, we were talking about how we could effect change, like financial change, where we impact the white dominant structure financially by not buying any of their products or endorsing anything that is, well, that would be kind of hard, right? Because they own so much, you know? Like, even our cars, even our freaking houses that we live in, our apartments, our electricity, you know, is much of it is like white owned. But as much as we can, if we were to boycott their services like they did the bus boycott, and you didn't see no black person catching a bus, that brought about change. I see what he's saying. If we could create and initiate a movement that powerful, and not just one day, but it can be an annual thing. It can be um, something that happens twice a year, quarterly, however often we want to do it. But just imagine the effect, the change that we can bring about, not just within the black community, but in the world, you guys. Like, that would be epic. And of course, other races will join us. They don't want to be a part of it. And I think it's smart to unite with other races for this cause, because it's sending a very specific message, you know. And within choosing a date, within choosing a location, he said that he was leading a march on August 4th in Philadelphia. And he's going to be at I think, the police headquarters. I think that's a good location to do it nationwide. Like, in every major city, just go to the police headquarters. Everybody meet at the police headquarters. And we shut it down. You know, like, we really do this as a whole unit across the country, nationwide. And not only that, but we boycott services so we don't spend. Now, if y'all want to ask me what we should boycott, I think we really should to really make a change, because it's one thing to say, okay, we're not going to do this for one day, but then we go back to trying to integrate, and we go back basically endorsing the dominant structure and supporting white supremacy. Like, that doesn't make sense. I feel like if it's something that we're going to do, we should continue it by all means necessary, however we can still be able to survive, you know? And I think that if y'all were to ask me what we should boycott, I think we should boycott the 4th of July. Now, I know that's just around the corner, so we have, what, just 2 weeks away, so that might be a push to try to plan a national march or a protest within 2 weeks, you know, but who knows? But the power of social media, that's why I say to Mr. Jamal Johnson that you cannot undermine the effect that your son is causing, other social media influences are having within the black community, because it doesn't matter. You say it was just talking. No, it's more than just talking. It's a platform that they have. And you even said, in order to spread the word about this national march, that we can use their platforms, you know, which is another issue, because you can't sit up here and try to minimize it and discredit these guys, and want to, especially your son, and talk down negativity. You want to say, okay, well, let's use your platform to bring about change. Like, we have to work together at all times. You can't just put somebody down and shoot somebody down in the foot and be like, okay, social media, that's not enough. You know, that means nothing. You keep saying, he said that several times, like you're saying, it doesn't mean anything. Social media, you know, it means a lot, because you're trying to use their platforms. That's how we will probably be able to get the word out, is through social media, because we damn sure, I mean, of course, they're going to, Fox News and all the major news networks are going to jump on after we already got this thing started. But to get the word out and get it started, we're definitely going to have to use our social media platforms to do it. And he has a point. He said, combined with Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Sinetta, Dr. Umar Johnson, combined their platforms is like probably over 1 million people that we could reach, and probably even more than that. You know, like nationwide, y'all. This thing can be really big, but we have to find a day. And like I said, I would pick 4th of July, just because black people, we just the number one supporters when it comes to Independence Day. You know, Independence ain't got shit to do with us, because we not fucking free. Black people think that but no, we're not. You think that you're free just because you have a roof over your head and you're working, and no, we are psychologically enslaved. Black people are still oppressed. And just because you have a few token Negroes that seem to be at the top, that don't mean the black community is doing fine. That don't mean that we're good. So, yeah, I would say we can boycott 4th of July and take a stance. That's something that can really bring about change. The whole taking a knee thing during the football national anthem, honestly, I do know that that's communicating a message, but I still feel like taking a knee, that's still kind of showing respect. That's showing, to me, just as much as respect as taking a stand and having your hand over your heart. That's just showing just as much as respect to the flag. So I'm like, if we really want to sit up here and make a statement, you know, how about we don't watch NFL? Like, withdraw our support. But that can be hard. I'm not saying it's impossible. We can do it. We have to speak it into existence and stop saying, oh, we can't unite. Like, the more you put those words out there into the atmosphere and say, oh, we can't unite, that'll never happen because black people, we don't get along. That's not true. We do. There's so many different instances where you see black people united and getting along for many different causes and reasons, for entertainment purposes. I mean, you see videos where you have thousands of black people at a football game or a basketball game. They're just hanging out at a party somewhere. So we can get along and we can come together and unite. When you have these entertainment shows, these black entertainment shows, look, it be thousands of people showing up. We can unite for different reasons. It's just that we really have to be driven and we have to communicate this. We can do it. I definitely see it happening, because when I watched that video and when he put that out there, Mr. Jamal Johnson put that out there with his idea for a national Black Lives Matter march, I was like, dang, that shit is a smart idea. Like, that will really bring about change. That will be so powerful, you guys. And I told him, I even commented on his video, I said, you know what, you got me scratching my head over here figuring out how we can pull this off. Because there definitely has to be a way. Like, I'm all for that. And I even said, like I said earlier, like when he was asking me, about joining his protest, I told him, I say, I want to be a part of it, any protest when it comes to Black Lives, but I think the reason why I haven't participated in the Black Lives Matter protest is because, to be honest, it's kind of frightening. It's kind of scary to know that you can probably lose your life, you know, or be arrested, or, something can go wrong or whatever. I don't want it. I want us to be able to survive and win, that we can have a protest and a march and win. There are peaceful protests that actually effect change. And you can tell that there's change because there's a lot of people there. People are moved by what's happening when they're at a protest. It's electrifying, you guys. So I know that we can come together and be able to have a national Black Lives Matter peaceful protest. The question is, how can we do this? How will we do it? What day will we do it on? We have to have protesting is all about having a spirit of resistance. You can't just be going on along with the go along. That's where the whole idea of poem emerged from. I know Mrs. I keep saying Dr., but Mr. Jamal Johnson keeps saying we shouldn't use that word because it originated in slavery, but Black people redefine it to say that no, these are coons are Black people who want to co-sign with white people who want to align themselves with the dominant structure. How the hell are you going to resist the dominant structure when you're trying to align yourself with it? You can't do both. So then you become a coon, which is a derogatory name essentially. It is, yeah, it is name calling, but it is what it is. People in the Black community, it matters that we be able to identify who is for us and who is against us. That's just a way to identify those types of people. So there's a place for being able to have that kind of descriptor, so we can distinguish those Black people from the others, because a lot of times they do cause more harm within the Black community because they're trying so hard. A lot of times they try so hard to impress white people that it's at the expense of our own survival. They're willing to sell out. It's a sellout essentially, anything for the white man's approval. And it's like, no, you can't do anything for the white man's approval if it's against your own survival. You might be helping yourself because they paying you off because you just sold your soul, but you still negatively affecting the Black community, which that's where it becomes an issue. So I definitely think we can do this, just like how y'all able to share videos 1,000, 1,000,000 times and it goes viral. We can't just leave it at that. That's where Mr. Jamal Johnson is saying. It's almost like he should be a doctor, right? Mr. Jamal Johnson. We should be calling him doctor, because he's amazing. He should get an honorary doctorate, because I think what he's saying is true. And like I said, I had to look at myself and like, whoa, you know what? Looking at myself when he was asking me to come out to his march, and I'm like, okay, thinking about why I haven't been to or participated like in an actual protest. I say, you know what, that takes courage to do that, to be honest. Like, I give respects to where respects is due, and that takes a lot of courage to be able to go out there on the front lines and stand up for what you believe in, even if it means risking your own life. And he's done that. That's why I say, you know what, hats off to you. I have much more respect for you. Because a lot of us, to be honest, we ask ourselves, and you can sit up here and ask yourself right now, have you ever been to a protest? A real full-blown protest? Been a part of one? Because it does take courage. I'm talking about when you got the police out there, basically paramilitary and even military soldiers out there with all kind of weaponry, ready to pull that shit off on your ass. All kind of weapons. A lot of us ain't willing to admit that we don't want to be a part of that because you're afraid, you fear for your own safety and your own life. That's like signing up to join the military. In a sense, like, who the hell want to sit up here and risk their life fighting for a cause or a country? So it is riskful, it is dangerous, and the fact that people do put their lives on the line and go out there and to be out there in the physical form. You know, like he has a point. It's one thing to be behind a screen and you're affecting change. You know, not to say you're not bringing about change, because you are. You make anything, anything you do that impacts another individual, you're bringing about change. But I think there is a difference, which I see his point. You know, I do hit your point, Mr. Jamal Johnson, if you're watching this, that, yeah, I guess you could say it's a difference. Will I say one is better than the other? No, but there is a difference between making yourself known, like standing up for change behind a screen, you know, behind a camera, versus standing up for change, you know, when you just put yourself out there. Either way, I mean, people like to say, oh, it's not real because of social media. It's real because guess what? When we turn these cameras off, we still have to go out there. We're still real people that have to go out there in the world and walk around, and people recognize us from social media. You know, like even you said, people recognize you from social media and they've made threats against you. Even in real life, people have threatened you. So it's not that you're not, like, you don't have any courage because you're behind a screen. Because no, when you come from behind that screen, you still got to go out there in the real world. And a lot of us don't necessarily have bodyguards. Some do, but a lot of us don't necessarily have a bodyguard. And so you're out there, you know, walking around, and it's just like, that does take courage to do that, knowing that you still got to go outside and live your life. We don't just live on social media. It may seem like that, like, oh, you just live on social media, you don't leave your house, you don't go out. Like, no, most of the time I'm out away from my house, you know, and you walk down the street, you out there in public, you know. And even Dr. Umar Johnson, to say that, oh, he's just hiding behind the screen, like, no, he's out there. He meets with people face to face. If people can go and drop a bomb on, like, God forbid, knock on wood, but I mean, there still is a possibility that people want to say, okay, you try to measure someone's contribution or how important what they're doing is based on, if you call it tangible, being like out there in front of the people in a protest where you kind of face to face with the police versus being behind a screen. It's just like, no, you still can be face to face with the enemy. You don't have to be the police. It can be racist ass people that can show up to your son's lectures. So yes, it hurts when you go out and say, oh, he's not doing nothing. You try to undermine him, and seemingly to me like you're trying to give yourself more shine by saying, okay, I do protest, you just stay behind the screen. It's like, no, everybody is putting life. Anytime you speak out against the dominant structure and you stand up for what you believe in, your own identity, you are putting yourself at risk. You're under the radar. Everybody is at risk, you know. That's what they say. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And it's better to stand for something and die for it. It's better to die for a cause such as Black lives and our own survival in this country. And everybody is doing something. He is putting his life on the line because, like I said, anything can go wrong at one of those lectures. Where they have the address and some hater can come. You know, the dates obviously are posted out there. You know, he's impacted the Black community. He's reaching out, imparting his knowledge on the Black community. That is doing something. You know, he may not be face to face with the police, but they still know who he is, and they can easily try to attack him, you know, and kill him. So everybody is sacrificing their lives. So don't make it seem like, okay, your sacrifice is more than somebody else's sacrifice. Like, let's stop that. And I think if we can put that aside from us, and with the whole ego trip, trying to say, okay, you're doing this and you want to fluff up your ego and try to put the next person down, if we can just stop doing that, put that behind us, I think, yes, we can begin to come together and healing can take place, because I think a lot of people's egos are just messed up. We are powerful people. You say, even Mr. Jamal Johnson says, oh, well, get out of the studio. He was referencing Tariq Nasheed, that he should get out of the studio and come from behind, you know, the camera. And it's just like, no, stay in the studio. That's part of his work. That's part of it. A person don't have to stop their role and what they're doing within the Black community just to join, I guess, follow your mission in terms of a protest. Like, we can do both. We can continue in our role. My contribution looks a certain kind of way. and I've shared what I'm doing. I don't have to toot my own horn, but most of you guys already know my role. And Tariq Nasheed can continue making his documentaries. That's definitely needed. We need doc. Don't tell him to stop doing that. We need that. But on top of that, we can also benefit from him being able to participate in marches and lead marches. Him joining with his name Sonetta, and I have to do more research on him because I don't know that much about him. And Dr. Umar Johnson, he can continue doing what he's doing, and he can tell he's busy. You can look at his schedule. He posts his tour dates on his page, but that doesn't mean that he can't join with the others to organize a march. It can happen. I think that would be so beautiful because, like I say, the march that I stumbled across when I was in Brooklyn, that shit, it was so energizing, y'all. Like when I say I was in awe. It was just amazing. It's one thing when you see a march on TV, but when you out there in the middle of it, it's just like, oh my gosh. And to see that they had like redirected traffic, the city was shut down. They had to shut it down for this, man. Like that's when you know you're doing something. Even people say, okay, Starbucks ain't doing, that's not nothing to have Starbucks create this racial bias sensitivity training, but no, that's something. You can close their doors for 4 hours. That's something. Yes, of course, they're going to make the money right back. We know that. But I feel like there's so many ways we can bring about change, and we can just stop stepping on each other's toes, with the hatred and jealousy. We could do it. We can do it. I'm talking about the whole ego trip. Stop with the ego trip. We can unite. We're going to unite. We're going to unite. Trust and believe that. Because now I ain't got a part of this. Because to be honest with you, I ain't know nothing about no conscious movement, to be honest. My eyes have opened more and more to what's happening, but to know that there's a movement for it, it's like, it's one thing, okay, yes, my eyes been open. I think my eyes been open since I was a little girl. But to know that there's a movement for this thing we call consciousness, it's amazing, and we are going to unite. I feel like there needs to be balance within the conscious community, and y'all just wait and see. Now that I guess you can say I'm a part of it, me, I can care less about notoriety, because I'm already notarized, but you know, and I have much respect for the men who are a part of this movement. And I know that everybody has a place. I know my place, I know their place. I'm not trying to compete with nobody. I have no need to compete. But I'm all for it. And I think the idea is beautiful. That National Black Lives Matter March, oh, it's on. It's coming. It is coming, and it's going to be bigger and greater than any national march you've seen. We didn't see, like I say, protests break out, even with the women's protests that broke out after Trump got elected. The women's marches, and that was nationwide. But it's going to even be bigger than that, y'all. Because we're going to do it too. Bring about change. Some stuff that y'all ain't never seen happen in Black history is about to go down. It's about to go down. But I thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. And feel free to share your comments below, because I know y'all have them. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. And I love you guys. I love every last one of y'all. Mr. Jamal Johnson, Dr. Umar Johnson, every conscious leader that's out there doing something. Everybody plays a role. Everybody plays a role. Dr. Umar Johnson, Sanetta, Tariq Nasheed, every conscious leader, Mr. Jamal Johnson, everybody is important to this movement. And it's going to go down. I can't wait, man. This thing is beautiful. Woo.